Well, this week turned into a pretty big week for us. We sold one vehicle, bought another vehicle, and then I surprised my wife with something that she wasn't expecting. So if you've been following the journey about the RV, the HDT build, and everything else that we're doing, this week was definitely one of those weeks where a lot changed.
We sold it all for a dream on wheels, trading four walls for the open fields. Your hand in mine as the sunrise breaks every mile we roll, another memory we make. Through thick and thin, we're rolling free, just you and me in the highway.
Let's talk about the surprise for the wife. For the last couple of months, Rayleigh has really just been doing a lot of research on Jeep Rubicons. Out of the 17 years that we've been married, she's had really one or two nice cars, and then for the last 4 years she's been driving a little Toyota Tacoma, the turd Toyota Racing Development, but it was a plain Jane one, nothing too fancy, gunmetal gray. She didn't really like it. I mean, like I said, we had 3 or 4 years and probably less than 13,000 miles on it. Hardly ever drove it. And I just wanted to do something special for her, especially since we've got the HDT now to tow the RV, and we didn't need my big Ram. So on last Monday, I took the Tacoma, didn't tell her, took the Tacoma down to the Jeep dealership, told her, hey, I'm looking for a mojito green or whatever green that is that she likes. It's got to be fully loaded. I don't know enough about Wrangler Rubicons, but it's got to be top of the line, blah, blah, blah. What do you have? And they just so happen to have one left on the lot that checked all the boxes. And then I basically looked at her and I said, I need you to grab your shoes, grab your ID, and meet me outside. I need 20 minutes of your time, non-negotiable. And I literally said it just like that because I wanted her to be kind of a little worried, like what the hell's going on? And then if you hadn't catched the short earlier this week that we posted, you got to see her surprise. She came out and then she saw the Jeep and she was just like, started laughing, had a big old smile. And she's like, oh my God, you did it, right? End up saving about $800 a month based off of current outflow currently for current vehicle payments, and saved about another $150 a month in insurance payments. So not only was it an emotional decision, but it was also a good financial decision. Okay, so now let's talk about the vehicle that we sold and the other vehicle we got. So again, if you would have seen earlier in the week, I did a short talking about Papa needs an upgrade, right? And it's because we owned an ATV, a side-by-side. And when we first started the thought of doing this lifestyle full-time RV and then having the HDT, we saw a lot of people either had golf carts or they had side-by-sides, and we already had one. Part of the reason why we chose this lifestyle is because we wanted to go around and see our grandkids. And our grandkids, we got 12 of them under the age of 12. With a side-by-side, I can only put one grandkid at a time when we want to go for a ride. And I'll be honest, most RV parks won't even allow you to drive it in the RV park unless it's street legal, which most side-by-sides are not street legal. Found LSV, a low-speed vehicle golf cart, 4-seater, and just fell in love with it. It's electric and it's pretty practical because while it's sitting on the HDT, the semi, as we're driving down the road, it typically takes about 5 hours to charge. And while we're driving, I can be charging the actual vehicle. So that way when we get to the actual campground or wherever we're staying or when we're going to go see our grandkids, boom, it's ready to go. It just made sense. It fits on the HDT better and easier to load, all that stuff. Now here's what's crazy part about that story. Sold the ATV on Facebook, right? Someone from Denver drove down here to the Air Force Academy, was not a veteran, was not a retiree. And because of global events that are going on right now, our ThreatCon level is elevated on the Air Force Academy, and they weren't allowed on. So they called me and said, hey, the security guards won't let us on base. You got to come meet us up here. So I just took the wife's Jeep, went up there. I had to grab the trailer that they brought down to get the ATV, bring it back here to the RV, to the campground, load up the ATV, and then head back out. So I head back out on the outside of the base where the hotel is in the parking lot. Took the ATV off because he wanted to actually do a test drive on it real quick before he took it back. So I was like, no problem. I said, hey, I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the trailer. I'll help your brother to hook it up to your truck. He's like, great. Help the brother hook it up. And then I said, hey, from here, I can't hook it up. I got it to the actual truck form. I go, but you actually have to hook it up. I don't want any liability in case something goes wrong. And the younger brother was like, yeah, no problem. I do this all the time. He hooked it up. The buyer comes back. He gets ready to drive up onto the ramp. And as he did, the trailer came up off of the truck. The kid didn't secure it, went up in the air and then came down and smashed the tailgate. And I was like, ooh, holy cow. And I thought for a second, I was like, oh, well, this sale's done because he toasted that tailgate. And man, he just starts yelling at his brother going, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. So it helped him de-escalate a little bit. He pulled back off the ramp. I helped him secure the trailer. He pulled on to make sure it was secure and then put the ATV back on. He continued to buy the ATV. I let him go on his way. And before he left, I was like, hey man, you know, just so you know, it's a brand new truck. These tailgates typically around $3,000 to replace because the camera, stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, he goes, this isn't even my truck. And I was like, he's like, yeah, it's my homegirl. And I was like, oh, your girlfriend? He's like, oh no, it's a friend of mine. And she just bought this truck last week, and this was her trailer. And I was like, oh boy. And I was like, well, I'm so sorry to hear that. Here's the pink slip. Sent him on his way, had my money, and then I came back to the RV park, or the campground, told my wife what had happened. And see, so we have an inside joke, because the reason why I felt so bad when I saw it is because I typically do shit like that. I screwed up the tailgate on my Ram when we first got our first fifth wheel RV. When I was unhooking, I put the tailgate back up, pulled out, and smashed the tailgate. And the running joke in our household is that I can't have anything nice, because anytime I get something new, something happens, right? And when I told my wife the story, she was like, please tell me you didn't tell him, hey, can't have anything nice. And I was like, oh no, I would never do that. So I do feel bad for the young man. I feel really bad for his younger brother, because that trip back to Denver must have sucked. I'm sure he got an earful, and then he probably got another earful once they had to deliver the truck back to the person he borrowed it from. Doing the golf cart just totally makes more sense. Electric, I can have all the grandkids ride with me. Plus we have some Segway scooters. So between the Segway scooters and the LSV, it's pretty cool. We can all actually like go do stuff together within the campground. It's a 2025 Denago EV Rover XL, and it matches the color of the HDT, the semi truck. And I'm also going to have our family crest and decals put on that, just like we're having put on the HDT as well. So it's kind of cool how it's all going to tie together, and it matches and it works and everything's great. So yeah, so we're super excited about that. And we take delivery of that on Tuesday. So I'll obviously be filming that and sharing that with you guys, what it's like when we have our ride or whatever, drive around the campground here. So in closing, what happens next? Next week, like I said, we get the LSV delivered, the golf cart. And then I'm hoping should be able to be picking up the HDT, the semi. It should be done with all of its work, picking it up, taking it to go get the emissions check done, then having the decals put on it, and then taking it over to get the rear part of the truck, the bed, rhino lined. And once that's done, we'll have about a week and a half left, almost 2 weeks left here. And on April 1st, we're heading to Missouri to go see some of them grandkids that we've been telling you guys about. Through thick and thin, we're still building. See you next week.